So, I'm going to be talking about child molestation and how we can fix it. So, some stats that I found. So, there are more than 42 million survivors of sexual abuse in America, according to the National Association of Adult Survivors of Child Abuse. On that same note, on the opposite note, there are nearly half a million registered sex offenders in the U.S., but 80,000 to 100,000 of them are missing, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So, that says that there's more sex offenders than... It shows that there's more sex offenders that aren't registered. So who knows? It could be your neighbor, it could be somebody. So, one thing that we could do to fix that right off the bat is we could... excuse me. We could do more thorough back history searches and try and find the people and get them and have them registered. Also, on a sad note, 30% of sexual abuse is never reported. Luckily, though, that means that 70% is reported, which means, people are starting to talk out. But what about the 30%? Because nowadays people if they come out and say this happened, they'll think, oh, you're just trying to get attention, or you're trying to get money. Well, yes, on some occasions that's possible, but not always. So we should stop thinking the negative and start thinking maybe this happened. Let's just say they're innocent until we're proven right or wrong. So 95% of sexual abuse is preventable through education. So if schools taught more thorough ways to say no and ways to avoid this and how to notice signs that someone wants to do this sort of thing to you, we could stop 95% of all sexual assault cases. Nearly 70% of all reported sexual assaults, including assaults on adults, occur to children aged 17 and under, according to the Children's Advocacy Center. And approximately 20% of those cases of victims of sexual abuse are under the age of 8. 8, that's just bad. And so we need to teach kids at a younger age that we need to try and teach the kids at younger ages that this isn't, or teach kids the signs of this happening. So, 1 in 3 girls are sexually abused before the age of 18. Majority of, according to the Advocacy Center. But 1 in 5 boys are sexually assaulted before the age of 18. And 38% of the sexual abusers of boys are female, according to the Broward County. So, that being said, it's not just a guy thing. I mean, yes, guys are more likely to do it, but we can't have this stigma saying, oh, it's just guys. Girls do it. Women do it too. If we could break that stigma and figure out, hey, it's not just guys who do it. Watch out for the girls too, or women too. That could help as well. A typical pedophile will commit 117 sexual crimes in their lifetime. So, that's just terrifying to think about. 117 sexual crimes. That's 117 kids. Anyway, 1 in 5 children are sexually abused while on the internet before the age of 18. So people are asking for images, or they're sending them their inappropriate images. And if we could teach kids to stay off these kind of websites and keep kids from going on those websites, that would help with a lot of cases as well. 90% of individuals with a developmental delay or disability will be sexually assaulted at least once in their life. That's a lot, and they're easy to pick on, I guess, because they don't understand as well as a normal person would. So they'd be a more likely target for a sex offender. If we could teach them in a way that they'd understand this about this, then maybe we could stop some of those crimes. But just in the book Lakota Woman, there's a part where she talks about how girls on the reservation, a white man could walk into the reservation, rape an Indian woman, and go scotch-free. That's sort of what happens nowadays. Not to that same extent, but a guy can go and a guy can go in and rape a woman and then force her to be quiet and scare her into being quiet. So that's why 30% of 30% of sexual assaults are never reported, because they're scared and they don't want to face whatever punishment the person has supposedly said was going to happen. Because like, if to 20% of kids who are under 8, he could say he's gonna hurt mommy or daddy, and in their 8-year-old mind they're thinking he's gonna do it. I want to keep my family safe, so I'm not gonna talk about it. Once we get older, though, an older person is gonna understand better. They're gonna understand this better, but a young child wouldn't be able to understand this. Sorry. Getting a little choked up here. I haven't been... I don't know how to say this. I've sort of had experience with child molestation, but not to the extent of some people. My sister was assaulted by her father, and he inappropriately touched me. He didn't go as far as, what could have happened, but, still, there's scars. Luckily, my sister was too, I hope she's too young to remember, but, anyway. But if we could better educate people on the warning signs, and not just the people who are being abused, if we could just better educate, parents, and say these are signs of what's happening, or family members, because it's not always, sometimes, sadly enough, it's a parent doing this sort of thing. So if we could better educate the general public on the signs of this happening, then we could stop. We could better stop sexual assault altogether. It's going to be really hard to end, and you might never be able to stop it, but we could totally drastically diminish the amount of sexual assault that happens if we were able to better educate people, because 95% of sexual abuse is preventable through education. So if we educate the people, then the people will be able to say no. They'll be able to show signs that someone wants to do that to you. So to end on a positive note, for the of 70% of cases that are reported, that's people willing to step up, and they have the courage to step up and go against what the general public thinks, oh, people are going to think, oh, they're going to make fun of me, or they're not going to believe me, so why tell? The 70% of people who say it are willing to step up and say, we want justice. We want the people to realize that this is a more common occurrence than you think, because 1 in 3 girls are sexually assaulted, and 1 in 5 boys are assaulted. So it's not like a rare occurrence, sadly as that sounds. It's a quite common occurrence. But if we could, I know I keep coming back to this point a lot, but if we could better educate the people, educate the parents, the teachers, the friends, the other family members about signs of sexual abuse, and not just sexual abuse, but like emotional sexual abuse, like on the internet, or hugging, or the other ways, not just sex. But if we were able to educate people better on the entire spectrum and get people fully understand, these are the signs, these are what you can do to prevent it, and these are ways you can help people who this has happened to, we would be able to stop the amount of cases of sexual abuse.